Brandy, we wanted to come to you for some expert opinion on Origin selections, particularly the points of contention at the moment, which are our fullback, wingers, centres and halves. Can you give us your Origin team and some reasoning behind those selections?
I will, and we haven't done it on breakfast. Mossy and I have, for some reason, we just haven't picked our Origin sides on air. So we've sort of spoken about Origin, but not come out and given our teams. But I had to do it on Fox Sports on Thursday night. So, and I'm not sure whether they announced the teams on Sunday or Monday. Boys, I don't know if you're across that.
No, don't know.
You're right. I don't know when it comes out, but you sort of get leaks throughout Sunday afternoon footy when, you know, players are informed by their clubs that they've got to be in Sydney in camp. And so the teams sort of, or players' individuals' names start to come out on Sunday, even if they don't announce the side until Monday morning. I think in the past, New South Wales have generally named their sides on Sunday night after the full time after the last game. I think that changed last year where it went to Monday. But so I thought I've been listening to you boys talk about Origin and Origin selections, and I thought I'd give you a ring and just go through the team that I think I'd go with. And you're right about the positions, Missile. Very, very tough to split some of them, and especially the fullback, because I don't think you can lose. And this is something that people get out of their tree about when a team is picked, and it's almost like the player that is selected, you've pulled him out of reserve grade. Like, don't forget, players that miss are quality players, and I think with Dylan and Teddy, you can't go wrong. If James is remains the captain and fullback, you can't go wrong with Teddy, because Teddy's form this year has been much improved on what last year is. And then that's because Roosters are playing better footy too. But it's hard to ignore what Dylan Edwards has done over the last 4 years. Like, Dylan has been, he's consistently in the top 2 or 3 players of Penrith every week. And I think he's playing better footy this year than he was last year and the year before.
I agree.
However, I think the fact that Teddy is the skipper, the incumbent fullback, and he's been in good form, I think he wins the race. I just think I don't necessarily. I could go with either one of them, but I think James will be the fullback.
Brandy, do you think the Nathan Cleary injury has sort of hurt Dill as well? If Nath was available because of the combinations and being a selector yourselves, I'm not too sure if that has factored in the past. And by the way, Brooksy told us, mate, the teams are announced on Sunday night as well.
Okay, Sunday night. So there's no doubt that the teams will start to leak out Sunday afternoon while footy's on, and then they'll be announced. We'll nearly know the team, I think, through leaks of players arriving or whatever before the team is announced. So I think there's no doubt, Scope, that when you look at combinations, they're important. Goal combinations are important because you've only got a limited time to prepare the side, and if these players know each other well, that is certainly a bonus. But it doesn't outweigh other things. You know, everything comes into consideration when you're talking about picking a player. Form, you can't say, I'm going to pick this team on form. You just can't say it. Like, if you look...
Oh, that's dodgy.
Some player you will pick on faith and the fact that he's been there and done it. He mightn't be in great form, so I think it's dangerous to come out and make any sort of statement, because form is paramount, but there's other things that come into consideration when you're picking a team, and you don't want to back yourself against a wall and say, I'm going to pick this team on form, because sometimes you might get to a position or a player and go, well, he's not in great form, but he's done it before. So it's easy to contradict yourself when you make statements. I'm not saying anyone has, but everything comes into the mix when you're talking about picking a team. I don't think the fact that Nathan's not there has hurt Dylan's chances, because if you watch Dylan play, Yeah, he might have a good combination with Nathan, but I think he's standalone. Like, I think Dylan, if Dylan makes the side, it's because Dylan has played so well. And someone asked me about this. I just think Dylan's form has been that good that he stands alone, and it doesn't matter who's around him.
Yeah, you could argue that he goes to another level when Nate's out, Brandy, right?
Yeah, I reckon.
He's been playing probably his best footy when Nate's not there.
100%, absolutely. So, well, I don't think that hurts Dylan's chances of making it. But let's just go. Teddy, I think Teddy will be the fullback and the captain. The wingers, I would pick Brian To'o. He's a lock. Brian's been in great form. He's been great for New South Wales. On the other wing, there's Josh Addo-Carr, and for some weeks I've had the Fox on the other wing. But just thinking about the game, and again thinking about what's important in Origin, I just think a big body is better. Now, we got massively criticised a couple of years ago when we went with Daniel Tupou. Yet Daniel Tupou was, I think, if he wasn't our best player, he was our second best player through that Origin series for the reason we picked him. But his carries out of his own end were so good that if you haven't got that, you don't win Origin. I'm going to go with Joseph Suwali on the wing. I think Joseph's carries out of his own end, his ability in the air, just edges him ahead of Fox, who it hurts me to leave Fox out because I love the Fox. But I think Joseph will offer you more in what will be it'll be a brutal series again, and I think his carries win him the race ahead of Fox, and he beats Lomax there too because he's good at both what Lomax is good at in the air and carries. I think I'd go with Joseph ahead of him. Centers, Stephen's the first pick, and I heard you boys talk about Stephen. He can play either side, so it's a luxury having a centre that's good on both sides. I'd probably pair him with Bizza, with Brian To'o, and the other centre I'd pick a match winner. And he's been criticised all year. He's missed some games because of ill-discipline. His fullback play hasn't been fantastic, but put him in the centres and he's a match winner. I picked Latrell, and I heard a couple of people say, because there's no Bradman Best and no Tom Trbojevic, I'm going with Latrell.
Latrell's probably the most divisive player, Brandy, for a lot of people on the text line for sure.
Yeah, I understand that. And you know what? I probably don't go Latrell if Bradman Best or Tom Trbojevic are fit. But I'm going Latrell, who's been great in the centres. He hasn't played Origin for a couple of years now, for a few years. But I think he's up to it. I think I've seen enough from Latrell to still know that Latrell can turn matches. And he's had good moments for Souths while not being great at fullback because he's not the fullback that everyone wants him to be, and he's not the feed. When you're looking at Latrell, if you're ranking fullbacks at the moment, like Latrell would be mid-table. There'd be 8 fullbacks who are playing better than Latrell is. So, but I picked Latrell, and
I like it.
I heard a couple of texts come in and said, who would Queensland not want you to pick?
Yeah.
And probably don't want you to pick Latrell. 5'8's a tough one. Now, Cody Walker's been ruled out of this game tonight, which doesn't fare well for Cody's chances. But if Cody was fit, I'd pick Cody. Cody's the best ball player we have. He's, without doubt, Cody is the best ball player. And I saw things in his game in the second half last week against the Cowboys to make me think that Cody's not far from his best.
Yeah, I agree.
Incumbent man of the match in Game 3 where he was brilliant. I'd go with Cody / Jerome. If Cody's not there, I'm going with Jerome. I've got Matt Burton on the bench. Halfbacks Nico, and I think there's no one really to challenge Nico. No Mitch Moses, no Nathan Cleary. So Nico, and deserves to be picked. Nico's been in terrific touch. So Nico is the halfback. Front rowers, I'm going with Payne and Jake. Jake for the first 25 minutes just to tackle his heart out. Payne carries the ball. Angus Crichton's form over the last month, I think he gets the nod with Liam Martin. Isaiah Yeo at the back of the scrum. On the bench, the front rower I'd go with off the bench, and he's done a great job when he has played, is Jacob Saifidi. Big body, mobile. Cameron McInnes is the other middle to get out there and just work his ass off. Matt Burton as coverage for your halves and your outside backs. And I'd go with Hamoli Olakau'atu, because Olakau'atu coming on, you can either Angus or Liam Martin are both great in the middle. They're as good in the middle, Martin and Crichton, as they are on an edge, and they could rotate with a middle. If things need to be, they don't need a rest and things are going great, well, you just leave them out there for the 80 minutes.
And Hamoli could play you 15 minutes in the middle, like if you needed to him in a pinch.
Of course he could. Of course he could.
We've got some audio, Brandy, of Seabold talking about Hamoli. We'll just play you quickly.
And I'd love to see Hamole. I'd love to see Hamole make his debut. I think he's... he probably does. He probably does. And I'm a Queenslander, actually, so I'm with Chaz. But yeah, look, I think he's got himself certainly in the frame. He's had a really consistent start of the season. It's probably the best footy of his career for the bulk of those 12 weeks. We missed him the 2 weeks that he was out suspended. So yeah, hopefully he's in the mix, and I'd love to see his name read out for the Blues.
Daly doesn't want Hamoli running at him, so that pretty much sums that up, right, Brandy?
Yeah, I'd stick him out that left edge running at Cherry. That'd be nice. Look, front row's been it's been a tough position. But in the past, you've had Junior Paulo in good form, and Reg has been thereabouts a few times. I don't think he can go to the Parramatta boys. It's just not playing well enough. And I think Cameron McInnes, who was in our squad in 2020 and should have already played Origin. He should have played Origin, but he hasn't. But I think he could certainly do a job for New South Wales.
Beautiful.
So there we go. That's my 17. Everyone can have their say on that. 0457 736 736.
There you go. You're doing our job for us, Brandy.
Easy, Brandy.
I'll change radio stations now.
Mate, I really appreciate that, Brandy.
Yeah, thanks,
and I think
Brandy.
one name that you mentioned there too, Cam McInnes, for a lot of people, that's probably not a name that has been as controversial. I think a lot of people got Cam McInnes either as starting, potentially with an impact off the bench, or himself being an impact and very versatile, Cam McInnes.
Yeah, well, he could play 80 minutes, and that's probably the strength of Cameron's game. The fact that, like, did he make 80 tackles the other day? Like, he's
feels like it every week.
He's incredible. So, it's just getting him into the starting side that might be difficult. But I think New South Wales can win. I'm pretty confident we can win. Even though we're down players, they're down some pretty important players too, both front rowers and Cameron Munster. And I know Queensland's mantra is, but we'll be right. We'll just step up to the plate. Well, I think we'll be right this year too, because I think the players we're going to pick, and I'm 100% behind Madge, I think the players we're going to pick will step up. And I'm confident that the Blues will win, which would be fantastic. About time we knocked them off. A couple of losing seasons hasn't been easy to take, but go the Blues.
Love your work, Brandy. And for all our mowers, you can catch Brandy on Breakfast weekly from weekdays 6 to 9. And Brandy, you'll be on Fox Sports this Arvo, is that right, for the Raiders-Roosters game?
2:30, yep, on air and covering that game. What a great game to start the Saturday. Raiders-Roosters, and then into the Sharks-Panthers.
Looking forward to it. All right.